A warm welcome to all our viewers. I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra and you're watching another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. India and Canada, two vibrant democracies bound by shared values, strong people-to-people connections, are looking to reset and strengthen their partnership. From trade and technology to defense and innovation, both nations are now pushing to unlock the full potential of bilateral cooperation. The renewed momentum was clearly visible at the India-Canada CEO Forum held in New Delhi. Take a look.
India and Canada share long-standing diplomatic relations, robust educational exchanges, and a strong Indian diaspora presence in Canada. As global economic uncertainties reshape supply chains and partnerships, both countries are looking to leverage their complementary strengths, India's fast-growing market and digital ecosystem, and Canada's advanced technologies and capital resources. This renewed vision took center stage at the India-Canada CEO Forum in New Delhi, where business leaders described the moment as a new chapter in bilateral ties. The discussion spanned critical sectors including artificial intelligence, quantum technologies, clean energy, and defense cooperation. At the forum, Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighted India's position as the world's fastest-growing major economy. He attributed this growth to strong domestic demand, demographic advantage, large-scale infrastructure investments, and rapid digital transformation. The event was attended by Prime Minister Modi and his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney, signaling high-level political commitment to revitalizing ties. Both the countries signed agreements on supplies of uranium and critical minerals and agreed to soon conclude a comprehensive economic partnership agreement.
हमारा लक्ष्य है कि 2030 तक हमारा व्यापार $50 बिलियन तक पहुंचे। आर्थिक सहयोग का पूरा पोटेंशियल अनलॉक करना ये हमारी प्राथमिकता है। इसलिए हमने कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक पार्टनरशिप एग्रीमेंट को जल्द ही फाइनलाइज करने का निर्णय लिया है।
We're advancing towards a Canada-India Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement with the aim to conclude by the end of this year. This ambitious agreement will reduce barriers, increase certainty, unlock opportunity for exporters, investors, and workers in both our countries with the aim to double trade by the end of this decade. And we're renewing defense and security cooperation through a new defense partnership, through maritime collaboration in the Indo-Pacific, through professional military exchange, and practical coordination and cooperation on our shared security interests.
The leaders welcomed the relaunch of the Canada-India Ministerial Energy Dialogue during India Energy Week 2026, describing it as an important platform to deepen policy coordination and enhance strategic cooperation on energy security, supply diversification, and long-term market integration. They also appreciated the conclusion of a joint action plan under the dialogue. They emphasized the expanding collaboration across clean energy and climate-focused sectors. They highlighted the importance of resilient and diversified global partnerships amid evolving geopolitical and trade landscapes.
It shows alignment, but I also believe very strongly in what Prime Minister Modi said. At the end of the day, the role of governments is to build the policy infrastructure, the trade-enabling infrastructure from a policy perspective. But ultimately, it is businesses that need to get across that bridge. And we're excited about what's going on, both here in India, but also in Canada, where we certainly would welcome Indian capital.
This is the starting of the new era, where given the kind of trade uncertainties that are happening globally, building resilience with building partnerships with countries, and especially with Canada, will build a sustainable economic and an innovative future for our country.
With an ambitious trade target of $50 billion by 2030, renewed defense collaboration, and a push to finalize the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, India and Canada appear determined to translate dialogue into deliverables.
Pakistan, a country already grappling with political uncertainty, now faces painful questions about sovereignty and state responsibility. In Karachi, deadly violence outside the US Consulate left at least 10 protesters dead, triggering outrage, religious anger, and a renewed debate over whether Pakistan's institutions can truly safeguard their own citizens. Take a look.
In Pakistan, public anger often spills quickly onto the streets, especially when religious sentiment and geopolitics intersect. Critics say the state repeatedly struggles to anticipate unrest, manage crowds, and balance diplomatic obligations with the protection of its own citizens. The latest tragedy in Karachi has once again exposed these structural weaknesses. Violence erupted after news spread of the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei in US and Israeli airstrikes. Protesters gathered outside the American Consulate on Mai Kolachi Road. According to reports, some demonstrators breached the compound's outer wall, after which security personnel opened fire. Civil Hospital Karachi confirmed at least 10 deaths and over 30 injuries, with reports of bullet wounds among victims. Protesters set a vehicle ablaze near the main gate before being pushed back with tear gas.
कराची में आपने देखा कि बहुत सारा नुकसान हुआ। पुलिस तैयार नहीं थी। काउंसिल खाने पे सुबह सुबह लोग पहुंच गए और पुलिस को पहले ही रात को अलर्ट होना चाहिए था कि बड़ी शख्सियत शहीद हुई है, ख़ासतौर पर अहले तशरीह के हवाले से, तो उनकी सिक्योरिटी के लिए इंतजाम करने चाहिए, वो नहीं किए। लोग शहीद हुए, हंगामे हुए, आम लोगों ने सफ़र किया, तकलीफ़ बर्दाश्त की। कराची शहरों के लिए दूसरे दिन भी रोड ब्लॉक, कराची में लोग परेशान हैं।
The unrest was not confirmed to Karachi. Nationwide demonstrations reportedly left at least 23 people dead, including casualties in Skardu and Islamabad. Section 144 was imposed in several cities as authorities increased security around diplomatic missions.
आज कराची में रियासती गुंडों ने, रियासती दहशतगर्दों ने जो फायरिंग की है, उसकी एफआईआर उन रियासती इदारों के अफसरान के खिलाफ होनी चाहिए। हमारा ये सबसे मेन मुतालबा है। और जो हमारे जवानों को अरेस्ट किया गया है, गुमशुदा किया गया, आज के रोज 1 मार्च को उनको फिलफौर रिहा किया जाए।
The tragedy reflects a dual failure: the state's inability to contain religious extremism before it spills onto the streets, and its inability to manage the fallout once violence erupts. In Karachi, what began as an emotionally charged protest over the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei rapidly escalated into a deadly confrontation that authorities appeared ill-prepared to prevent. Despite Pakistan's long history of sectarian sensitivity and mass mobilization around religious causes, critics argue that intelligence and law enforcement agencies failed to anticipate the scale and intensity of the reaction. Once crowds gathered outside the US consulate, the situation deteriorated swiftly, exposing weaknesses in crowd control, crisis management, and coordination between civil administration and security forces. At the same time, the government faces the complex obligation of protecting foreign missions under the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. The result is a troubling image of a state caught between competing pressures, reluctant to confront hardline religious mobilization decisively, yet unable to enforce consistent law and order when unrest erupts. For many observers, the Karachi killings are not an isolated breakdown, but part of a recurring pattern: reactive governance, delayed preparedness, and limited transparency after crisis.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
Residents in Baghdad voiced concern as the conflict between the United States and Iran entered its 6th day. Locals said people were worried and described the situation as tense and unpredictable. Meanwhile, Israel carried out a large wave of airstrikes on Tehran, stating that the attacks targeted infrastructure associated with Iranian authorities. The strikes followed Iranian missile launches that forced millions of Israelis to rush into bomb shelters. The conflict has now spread beyond the Gulf region into parts of Asia, unsettling global markets and prompting thousands of tourists and residents stranded in the Middle East to attempt to leave the area. Cooking test to certify real qualification for foreign Japanese cuisine chefs was held in Kyoto. Under Global Trend of Japanese Cuisine and Dietary Cultural Development Committee organized cooking skill tests to certify real Japanese cuisine qualification for foreign chefs. 12 foreign chefs applied to it, aiming gold or silver qualification. Some of these chefs got training in Japanese traditional restaurant. Others got win in the Japanese Cuisine Championship event held by Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries. 10 chefs applied to silver qualification test cooking 1 soup and 5 plates. 2 chefs applied to gold qualification test cooking Shokado bento box. Iranian and Israeli ambassadors in Seoul issued responses over the conflict in the Middle East as it entered its 5th day since the US and Israel launched joint airstrikes targeting Iran's missile infrastructure, military sites and leadership in the capital Tehran and across the country. Speaking at a news conference at the Iranian embassy in Seoul, Ambassador Saeed Kousichi called it a full aggression by the United States and Israel. He also acknowledged the damage suffered, saying, "It is true we are taking hits during this war, but we are hitting the enemy just the same," giving no indication that Iran was going to back down.
Moving on. Almost 6 months after massive youth-led protests rocked Nepal and led to the resignation of former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, the Himalayan country has cast its vote in a landmark general election. As voting concludes and counting gets underway, billions of Nepalis, particularly young voters, are looking toward the new leadership with expectations of stability, employment opportunities, and transparent governance.
Voters turned out in large numbers across Nepal as polling concluded in what many are calling a decisive moment for the nation. Long queues were seen outside polling stations, reflecting high public engagement in the first national vote since the deadly September protests that forced Oli's resignation. With a surge in first-time young voters and heightened public expectations, attention now shifts to the counting process and to whether this election can truly deliver the change demanded on the streets. Voting began at 7 a.m. local time and ended at 5 p.m. with counting scheduled soon after. Interim Prime Minister Sushila Karki and Prime Ministerial candidate Balendra Shah were among those who cast their ballots early in the day.
We just expect that good candidate must be win, and we support our young generation. That's it.
I really hope that whoever wins, they plays a significant role in development of Nepal, enhancing the life situations of every citizen, along with those who are marginalized, vulnerable, and who have been victim of various ill practices.
A key factor in the election is the addition of nearly 1 million new voters, most of them young, registered after the September unrest. Their participation has strengthened calls for generational change and greater political accountability. At the center of this momentum is the 3-year-old Rashtriya Swatantra Party, which has fielded 35-year-old rapper-turned-politician Balendra Shah as its prime ministerial candidate. A former mayor of Kathmandu and a prominent face during the September protests, Shah represents a departure from Nepal's traditional political establishment. For many young voters, this election carries deep personal significance. They believe the sacrifices made during the protests must translate into tangible reforms.
अब विकास नभएको ठाउँमा अब रोजगारहरू खुलाउनु पर्यो हैन अब जनताहरू अब खाडी मुलुक गइराछ त्यसलाई सबैले रोजगार खुलाएर त नेपालमै बसेर केही गरौँ भन्ने अवस्थामा
यो भोट चाहिँ नयाँ सरकार बनेगा नयाँ सरकार चाहिँ देशको विकास लगायत नीति निर्माण ऐन कानून बनाएगा देश र जनता के पक्ष में इसलिए वोट डाला.
The election comes nearly 6 months after violent clashes erupted during youth-led protests over corruption and restrictions on freedoms unrest that ultimately led to the resignation of the then Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. Now, with voting complete, Nepal stands at a turning point. While this election is expected to reshape the political landscape, the larger question remains: will a new mandate bring lasting reforms in governance, transparency, and job creation? As counting begins, the nation waits. For the young people who marched in the streets, for the families who lost loved ones, and for workers struggling to make ends meet, this election is more than a political event, it is about the future of Nepal. Whether the next government delivers genuine transformation or falls into familiar patterns remains to be seen. But after months of protest, pain and sacrifice, one message is clear. The people of Nepal are united in hope, seeking stable, accountable leadership that can turn promises of change into lasting progress.
As winter receded and spring took over the subcontinent, vibrant colors, music and tradition marked the celebration of Holi across India and Nepal. Streets turned into open canvases, temples echoed with devotional songs, and communities came together in a festival that symbolized renewal, harmony, and the victory of good over evil. Take a look. Holi, known as the Festival of Colors, is one of the most widely celebrated festivals in the Indian subcontinent. It marks the arrival of spring and signifies the triumph of good over evil. The festival is rooted in the legend of Prahlad and Holika. According to Hindu scriptures, Prahlad's unwavering devotion to Lord Vishnu angered his father, the demon king Hiranyakashipu. In an attempt to kill him, Prahlad was made to sit on a tree with Holika, who is believed to be immune to fire. However, divine intervention saved Prahlad while Holika was burned, symbolizing the victory of faith and righteousness. The celebrations began with Holika Dahan as bonfires were lit in neighborhoods across the country. Families gathered to offer prayers and perform traditional rituals. By the next morning, streets turned into a riot of colors as people smeared gulal, exchanged sweets and danced to festive music. In Mathura and Vrindavan, associated with Lord Krishna, devotees celebrated with flower showers, devotional songs and temple ceremonies.
त्योहार जो होते हैं अपने युवा पीढ़ी को अपनी संस्कृति को ज्ञान कराने के लिए होते हैं। हम ये जानते हैं कि हम जो त्योहार मना रहे हैं ये हमारी संस्कृति है, हमारा कल्चर है। और आज प्रिया कांजू के मंदिर में रंग की होली, फूलों की होली, लट की होली, गुलाल की होली, लड्डू की होली, जलेबी की होली और ये प्रेम भरी होली, ये भगवान के चरणों से रंग लग के आया था जो आज भक्तों पे लुटाया गया। तो ये त्योहार अगर हम प्रेम से मनाएंगे तो हमारे बच्चे भी इस जनरेशन को जानेंगे।
Holi celebrations were also marked by enthusiasm in Udaipur, where locals and foreign tourists joined in the festivities. People danced in the streets, played with colors, and embraced the spirit of togetherness that defines the festival. Visitors described the celebration as energetic and welcoming, capturing the true essence of Holi.
And everything is nice, people are nice, the colors are really vibrant, so we are really enjoying it. So come to Holi in Udaipur.
Color festival, why enjoy?
Love it. What?
Why enjoy color festival?
Love it. Yes, we love it. Yeah.
We like the colors.
Colors.
It makes everything more beautiful.
Yeah.
Music, dance. And
Music, dance.
You should come to Udaipur for Holi next time.
Where you like Udaipur?
We just got here yesterday, but everyone is very nice, so I think we're gonna stay here for a longer time.
Where are you feel?
We just came here, so it is our first day.
Happy Holi.
Happy Holi.
Happy Holi.
Holi was celebrated with equal fervor in Nepal. In Kathmandu, crowds gathered in public spaces to celebrate with colors and music. Foreign tourists also participated in the festivities.
I came like 1 hour ago. I was not that busy, like not much energy, but in last hour so many people came and it's so much energy and so much action and you can feel the happiness of everybody, just happy, celebrating Happy Holi.
So what have you been doing since you came here?
First I just sit for a little bit and just enjoy the atmosphere and walk around. And then I was trying to walk through that mass of people and everybody swore me and put colors on my face. That's why I have so much color everywhere.
In the high-altitude region of Ladakh, Holi was celebrated with equal enthusiasm despite the cold conditions. personnel of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police and the Indian Army marked the festival by applying colours to one another and sharing sweets at forward posts. Amid demanding duties, the celebrations reflected high morale and unity among the forces guarding the nation's borders. From sacred temple towns to international tourist hubs and remote Himalayan frontiers, Holi once again painted the subcontinent in colours of joy, devotion and unity. More than a festival of colours, Holi remains a celebration of hope, harmony and togetherness. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Till then, goodbye and take care.